UFC 276 Adesanya versus Cannonier full card prediction. Obviously, we got the main event in the middleweight division for the belt. We got Volkanovski, a Holloway trilogy. Even though Volkanovski's already won 3 times, we have the only man to knock out this man, Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, taking on the 1-2 machine, Sean Strickland. We got Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munhoz. And then we have a banger prelim card. Brad Riddell, Jalin Turner is a banger fight. We got Robbie, Lawler, former champion, taking on Bryan, Barberena, Ian, Garry, Gabe, Green. 2 really good prospects there. And we got some veterans that kind of got a little fight switch up, as it was supposed to be Cerrone versus Lozon last week, and Jim Miller taking on Bobby Green. Fight's canceled, and we get a new one here, Cerrone versus Miller. We got Grappler versus Striker, Uriah Hall, Andre Muniz, Jessica Maycee, Barber, Jessica Rose Clark, Julija, Stoliarenko, and the South African prospect, Dricus du Plessis, in the middleweight division, taking on Brad Tavares. So it is going to be a good card. We're going to do the full card prediction for every single one of these fights. We're going to post the Confident Picks video as well if you want to go watch that one as well. And if anyone wants to know the bets that I will be making for this card, my money line bets, my underdog bets, some of the prop bets, maybe the parlays that I'm going to be using for this card, you don't really need to, but if you want to see those bets, go to the last 15 to 10 seconds of this video you're watching and click the Burt MMA logo on the left side of the screen. Click it, and for about the cost of a water bottle, you can get all those bets. So, all that being said, let's get into the first fight here in the UFC Bantamweight division. Jessica Rose Clark and Julija Stoliarenko in the women's Bantamweight division. Both girls, not doing too good in the UFC. They're both 2-3 in their last 5 fights, with Julija having a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. She's got the better jiu-jitsu. She's got the better fight IQ from all the film I definitely watch. And striking-wise, Julija just is absolute dog I'm not going to say that on YouTube, but she's a horrible striker. Jessica Rose Clark is going to absolutely destroy her on the feet in the clinch, and she's going to have the better wrestling as well. Everything goes Jessica Rose Clark except for fight IQ and jiu-jitsu, which is what kind of worries me for Jessica Rose Clark here, because she can easily go out there, outstrike Julija Stoliarenko for 3 rounds and win a decision. She can easily clinch with Julija, land elbows, land knees, land some punches to the body, and win the fight by a 30-27 decision. She can easily do that. But her fight IQ just has not been good from all the film that I've watched of Jessica Rose Clark. She makes some very, very rookie mistakes in a lot of her fights that got her into the situation last time where she was caught in a first-round armbar. No, I don't think it's going to be the case this time. The only reason that Jessica was taken down was from a headlock. And Julija, she has an okay headlock. It's not the best in the game, but I don't think she's going to be able to do what Stephanie Egger was able to do to Jessica in the last fight. So I have a reason to believe most likely this is going to be a striking fight. A little bit of clinching here and there, and just maybe if Jessica Rose Clark's fight IQ sucks yet again, she'll probably go for another takedown and risk getting submitted yet again. I mean, her fight IQ is just absolutely doo-doo in my opinion. But I think she'll outstrike Julija Stoliarenko on the feet. She'll out-clinch her. She'll out-wrestle her. And if she can manage to stay away from the submissions, I think she'll definitely win the fight by a unanimous decision. On the feet, she's just more powerful. Julija just does not throw anything in her shots. Just a jab that just, boop, like this is the effect of her jab. That's literally it. Boom. That's really the effect of a lot of the punches from Julija Stoliarenko. So Jessica landing the harder shots, getting a little control time against the cage, landing knees, landing elbows, and overall grinding herself away to a 30-27 unanimous decision. Brad Tavares and Dricus du Plessis in the UFC middleweight division. Dricus du Plessis, 28.5 years old, same height, and a little bit of a reach advantage over Brad Tavares. He's going to be a little bit. I think he might be a little bit more experienced. I'm just kidding. He's not more experienced, but he's around the same experience as Brad Tavares, but not nearly against the same competition. I mean, Brad Tavares has been fighting in the UFC since his Ultimate Fighter days, way back in 2010, where he went 3-0, then lost to Court McGee, won some, he lost some every now and then, only losing to the likes of Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, and Edmund Shabazian. All of these guys were either up-and-coming guys looking to build their name in the UFC middleweight division, or they were veterans of the UFC middleweight division. What do you guys know? He's getting another up-and-comer, striker, grappler, finisher, just an all-around very, very well-versed MMA fighter in Dricus du Plessis, and I think he's going to win. I think Dricus du Plessis has what it takes to be yet another one of those younger up-and-comers to beat Brad Tavares. I kind of figure Brad Tavares is one of the... I don't like to say it too often, but I kind of see him as a gatekeeper to the top 15 of the UFC middleweight division, and Dricus is just better everywhere, in my opinion. On the feet, he's got the better kickboxing, he's got more power in his hands, volume might go to Brad Tavares, but he also has the wrestling and grappling to fall back on as well, with plenty of submission wins in his career as well. I surprisingly think the fight does go to a decision. I know Dricus has so many finishes on his record. I mean, finish after finish after finish. I don't think he has any fights go into a decision, but this is a good test in his career, going against his first top 15 guy in Brad Tavares. I think this will be the one that finally goes to a decision. I think Dricus lands the harder shots in the feet, mixes in some grappling, some wrestling, and things like that, and edges out a 29-28 decision. Jessica Eye and Maycee Barber in the women's flyweight division. Jessica Eye... yeah, she's 35 years old. I know. She's taller, she's lengthier, but she's freaking 35 years old. Maycee Barber is 24 years old. She's a little bit of a better wrestler. She's a better grappler. She's better in the clinch. Volume-wise, it might go Jessica Eye ever so slightly, but that's only in fights where Jessica is fighting other strikers. This is not that fight. And I've seen Jessica Eye get taken down plenty of times against Cynthia Calvillo. Her takedown attempts, like her offense, really is not that bad, but her defense, it needs a little bit of work. And Maycee Barber is just going to keep on going for takedowns over and over and over and over until she gets them in this fight. And I've seen Jessica get taken down at range in the center of the octagon with a double leg takedown at range, just a blast double. Maycee Barber is very good at that, just throwing a good 1-2 combination, jab, overhand right, jab, right hook, right to a double leg takedown. And I do think Maycee Barber is going to land a lot of takedowns at range on Jessica Eye. She's going to get a lot of control time. I'm talking like half of this fight will be controlled by Maycee Barber right here. And yeah, maybe Jessica Eye has the striking advantage here. She can probably go out there, use what she does very, very well in the jab, the 1-2s, just using her footwork at range to beat Maycee Barber. Very, very possible. And on the other hand, she can keep on doing that, and eventually Maycee Barber is going to take her down, and the strikes that Jessica Eye is going to be landing on the feet aren't really going to make up for the takedowns and ground and pound and submission attempts and things like that for Maycee Barber. So I think it's a pretty decently close fight. We got the new versus the old right here. I'm going to go the new. Maycee Barber by a unanimous decision. Uriah Hall and Andre Muniz in the middleweight division. Andre Muniz, 32.5 years old, little bit taller, but a little bit of a reach advantage for Uriah Hall. Now this is interesting because Uriah Hall is a very powerful guy. 17 wins, 10 losses. If you look at all those knockout wins that he's had, most of them are if you look at all the wins that he has, most of them are by knockout, except for Antonio Carlos Jr. But he's knocked out so many guys in the UFC. Knocked out Gegard Mousasi, for crying out loud. And that is how he's going to have to win this fight. 15 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 4 decision wins. No submission losses, which is very, very surprising. But that is how he's going to lose this fight. Against Andre Muniz, the best grappler in the middleweight division. It's very, very likely he gets the fight down and he goes out there and submits Uriah Hall. He's got submission wins in every single fight except for Antonio Arroyo and Bruno Assis, only losing to Azamat Mirzakhanov recently, who's a very, very good striker in the UFC right now. But this fight is one of those classic strikers versus jiu-jitsu guys, where it's going to be a knockout for Uriah Hall or a submission for Andre Muniz. But I think if Andre Muniz just keeps a high enough guard, slowly closes that distance, stays away from those big, powerful looping kicks and punches of Uriah Hall early on in the fight, I think eventually he can get the fight to the clinch, where he can get a hook in, hop to the back, and get another rear naked choke submission like he did against Eric, ya boy, Anders. So I'm gonna go Andre Muniz in this one by a rear naked choke submission in the first or second rounds. But it could go either way. That is a definite fight that could definitely go either way. Really good fight in the middleweight division. Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller 2 in the welterweight division. Now this, I had a feeling at one point or another, we're probably going to get a damn Jim Miller-Donald Cerrone rematch. I mean, I looked at the UFC records earlier, and these guys have so many records inside the UFC, lightweight division, welterweight division, whatever the case may be. Now, the first time, obviously, Donald Cerrone went out there as a pretty heavy favorite in the prime of his career in the main event of UFC Fight Night 45, knocked out Jim Miller in the second round right there. Looked very good in doing so, but it's a lot different than the first fight. I mean, both fighters have changed a lot. Donald Cerrone's kind of gone a little bit of a downturn since that fight, going on a big losing streak, getting knocked out in most fights, and then losing dominant decisions in a lot of those other ones, whereas Jim Miller has just found his stride in the UFC lightweight division. Yeah, he lost to Vince Pichel, lost to Joe Solecki, but the dude just knocked out prospect Eric Gonzalez and Nicolas Mota easily early on in that fight. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And looking at these Tapology predictions, I'm going to have to say it makes good sense. I mean, 66% going Miller by knockout when all of the knockout losses and all the losses from Donald Cerrone recently have been by knockout. Very likely. I first saw the fight, I'm like, Cerrone, bad chin, he's aging out a little bit. Jim Miller getting all these knockout wins in a row. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to lean for Jim Miller to get the knockout. But I've seen so many of these veteran on veteran guys late in their careers. They just put on a fun fight, and it goes for 3 rounds. I don't like to say this because usually, like, if these two guys were not like such exciting guys, such record holders of the UFC, whatever the case may be, I'd probably say Jim Miller's going to knock him out. But because of the respect that these guys have for each other, I think Jim Miller will get close to getting that finish. He'll pressure Donald Cerrone's back to the cage, land the harder shots, land the bigger shots. Again, almost knock him out. I don't think he's going to get all the way there because Cerrone was able to survive to a decision with both Anthony Pettis and Nico Price. The only guys knocking him out, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor. So I know it'll be a dissenting opinion in the comment section, but I'm going to go Jim Miller by decision here. I think he is the better fighter everywhere, grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking, power, speed, age. I mean, it is all going towards Jim Miller at the moment. So my prediction for this fight, veteran on veteran, 38 versus 39 years old. Rematch, years in the making. I'm going to go Jim Miller to win the fight by a very nice, pretty dominant 30-27 unanimous decision. I don't see how he loses any rounds. He's better pretty much everywhere in this fight. Jim Miller by unanimous decision. Ian Garry and Gabe Green in the welterweight division. Ian Garry at 24 and a half years old is going to be a little bit lengthier than Gabe Green right here, and is going to have a 1-inch reach advantage over Gabe Green. But Gabe has a stellar chin. The chin of Gabe Green is just absolutely insane. Ian Garry is not going to go out there and knock out Gabe Green. It's not going to happen. If he's going to win this fight on Gabe Green, it'll be a decision for sure, in my opinion. If Gabe Green's going to beat Ian Garry, I think it'll also be a decision. I think Gabe Green has the cardio advantage over Ian Garry. I think Gabe has a little bit of a wrestling advantage over Ian Garry. Got a little bit of an experience advantage over Ian. But the one thing that Ian has is the length. I mean, he's taller, he's lengthier, he's a better kicker, and things like that, which makes it such a close fight. Because on one hand, I can see Ian Garry just stand on the outside, using very good movement, stand on the outside of Gabe Green for 3 rounds, and just making it a kickboxing match, countering Gabe Green for the full entire fight, and winning a unanimous decision. I can totally see that happening. But on another hand, I can see Gabe Green putting on such heavy pressure that he's overwhelming Ian Garry throughout this fight, getting his back to the cage, throwing big shots, landing on the chin of Ian Garry, and then shooting a takedown. I think he has that wrestling advantage, and he could go out there, land some takedowns on Ian, grind him a little bit, make him tired on the feet, and his strikes aren't going to be as plentiful. They're not going to be as powerful, and in that case, Gabe's going to win the later round. So first round, I'll go Ian Garry. Ian always starts out, not as good in the first minute or so, but he always wins the first round, in my opinion. And as the fight tends to go on and Gabe Green fights, Gabe starts to get better and better and better, and his opponent starts to get worse and worse and worse. So third round goes Gabe Green, round 1 goes Ian Garry, and round 2 is a stalemate. It could literally go either way, but I'm going to lean the underdog right here. I'm going to lean Gabe Green to win this fight. I think he can catch the chin of Ian Garry throughout the fight plenty of times, and when he does get cracked on the feet, I think that's the opportunity for Gabe Green to go in there, land some takedowns, a little bit of ground and pound, and just kind of grind it on the ground and win the rounds that way. I think this is going to be the first fight in Ian Garry's career where he's going to have a significant amount of adversity. He had a little bit against Jordan Williams when he got hurt, but he's going to have a lot here because there will be wrestling involved. There will be Gabe lunging forward, looking for huge shots, and Ian's not going to knock out Gabe Green. So he's just going to keep on coming forward and coming and coming and coming. So we shall see. I think it's a close one. I think if you flip a coin, it could go to that person 50% of the time. So it's a very close one. I'm going to go Gabe Green ever so slightly to win the fight by decision right there. Robbie Lawler and Bryan Barberena in the UFC welterweight division. Bryan is 33 years old. Robbie is 40 years old. He's going to have a reach advantage, but a bit of a height disadvantage right there. Betting odds are 50-50. Tapology predictions are pretty dang 50-50. And Robbie Lawler has not been doing amazing recently. Lost to Rafael dos Anjos, Ben Askren, Colby Covington, and then Neil Magny, all of which are ranked or champions. I mean, Colby Covington, former interim champion. Tyron Woodley, former champion right there. I mean, Johnny Hendricks, former champion. A lot of these guys have fought for the belt or they're former champions, like Rafael dos Anjos as well. And then he fought Nick Diaz, where he was getting hit with a lot of shots from Nick Diaz, but he was still landing the bulk of the harder shots on Nick Diaz. He was landing much bigger shots. And towards the later moments of that fight, he was starting to really piece up Nick Diaz in the later portions of that fight. I don't think he's going to do the same against Bryan Barberena, because Bryan is also very good at just throwing and just coming down, just throwing volley, making it a war like Robbie Lawler usually does in his fight. So this is a pick'em. This is literally as close as you can get as a coin flip fight, in that Bryan is probably going to be on the front foot, pressuring forward, looking to land volume. Robbie's going to be trying to counter and eventually look for when Bryan puts on his combination. Then right when he stops, that's when Robbie Lawler is going to come right back in. So it's a coin flip, man. It really just matters on who's going to be landing more shots here, Robbie Lawler or Bryan Barberena. And I know some of you guys might disagree just a little bit, but I think Robbie Lawler has a little bit more sting in the punches, a little bit more pop in the shot, and I think this fight, the volume is going to be neck and neck throughout the fight, but I think Robbie will land the more effective shots throughout this 3 rounds. And again, it's very close. It's not one where there's going to be too many like technical observations on who's going to win the fight, because they're kind of both at this stage in their career just trying to brawl, make it a good fight, make it a fun fight, just come forward, throw volume and things like that. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to lean Robbie Lawler just ever so slightly to win the fight by a decision right there. Brad Riddell and Jalin Turner in the UFC lightweight division. Jalin Turner at 27 years old. Brad Riddell at 30 years and 9 months old. I think Jalin Turner is for sure going to have the grappling advantage. He's going to have the wrestling advantage. And he is sure as heck going to have the size advantage. He's going to be a whopping 8 inches taller. I'm talking that much taller. I know you probably can't see it right now, but very much the bigger fighter than Brad Riddell right here. And in reach, he's going to have a 4-inch advantage there as well. He's going to look huge. I mean, the face-offs are going to be absolutely insane with Brad Riddell and Jalin Turner. But Jalin, in my opinion, has a little bit more power in his hands. I'm not going to go as far to say that Bryan Riddell is the is the worst striker and that Jalin Turner has the striking advantage. But I will say the pop in Jalin Turner's shot, the shots that he's able to land are a little bit more powerful than Bryan Riddell. And Jalin Turner has the grappling and wrestling to fall back on as well. So yeah, I think Bryan Riddell can land a lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks, use his striking and kickboxing game to slightly edge out Jalin Turner on the feet. But there will be moments where Jalen's going to catch the chin of Bryan Riddell, maybe even finish him on the feet, or hurt him and then submit him on the ground. So I think this is going to be a very, very close one here. It could be a Riddell decision, grinding all the way, just keeping the fight at range, defending the takedowns, landing the kicks, the punches, and just winning a very, very close decision. Or it could be Jalin Turner landing the harder shots in the feet, taking down Bryan Riddell, and submitting him. And you know, I'm going to lean a Jalin Turner here. I think it's another like coin flip type of fight. 58% going Riddell. So Turner is the underdog on the Tapology predictions. I'm going to go the underdog there. I got Jalin Turner by a submission after rocking Bryan Riddell on the feet in the second round. Pedro Munhoz and Sean O'Malley in the bantamweight division. 27.5 years old and 35.5 years old. 5 inches in reach for Sean O'Malley. 7 inches in reach, 5 inches in height for Sean O'Malley right there with a 15-1 almost undefeated record, only losing to Marlon Chito Vera by a knockout in the first round. Knocked out Raulian Paiva, knocked out Chris Moutinho, knocked out Thomas Almeida, Eddie Wineland, Jose Alberto Quinones, and so many other guys as well. And this is not going to be that fight for a knockout here. Pedro Munhoz is very durable. He's not a guy, in my opinion, that's going to get knocked out. I mean, decision loss to Dominic Cruz, decision loss to Jose Aldo, to Frankie Edgar, to Aljamain Sterling, to John Dodson, to Jimmy Rivera, to Rafael Sunsao. This man has never been finished in his life. Sean O'Malley is not going to be the first to finish him. O'Malley's even said it himself. He's not looking for the finish. He's looking to just win a nice decision. And if the finish presents itself, he will go for the finish. But he's not going to finish Pedro Munhoz in the fight. Now, let's talk advantages and disadvantages. Pedro has the kicking advantage. Obviously, a lot of people know the only way Sean O'Malley has a 1 next to the 15 in his professional MMA record was, because of the leg kicks. I mean, he landed the leg kicks, shut out all the nerves in his legs, and he lost that fight. Pedro Munhoz is very, very well known for his leg kicks. He's very good at attacking the lead legs from an early point on in the fight, paying dividends later on, and then landing some shots later on in the fight and winning decisions. That is what Pedro Munhoz does, and that's what he usually does and continues to do inside the UFC. But it's not going to happen here. Sean O'Malley knows. Sean O'Malley knows exactly that's going to happen. I mean, it's Pedro Munhoz. What else are you going to expect? Of course, Pedro's going to go out there landing leg kicks, looking for leg kicks the whole entire fight. And Sean O'Malley, of course, is going to spend this entire camp, most of the camp, just worrying about the leg kick, worrying about staying away from the kicks of Pedro Munhoz, which I think he'll do a very, very good job of. And at range, he's got more speed, he's taller, he's lengthier, he's a little bit more powerful than Pedro Munhoz. It's really just the leg kicks. There's not really any takedown threat, not really any wrestling threat of Pedro Munhoz. It really is just going to be Sean O'Malley picking apart Pedro Munhoz on the outside and winning the fight by unanimous decision. That is the prediction. Sean O'Malley by 30-27. Unanimous decision right there. Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira in the middleweight division. I will be honest, originally I had Sean Strickland winning the fight. Originally, that was my prediction. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with Sean Strickland. His wrestling looked very, very good against Uriah Hall in that fight, and his takedown defense and wrestling looked very good against Jack Hermanson as well. But you know what, man? Alex Pereira is training with Glover Teixeira. His takedown defense looked pretty decent against Andreas and Bruno Silva, so it was able to get right back up on a lot of those takedowns. He's got way better kicks. He's going to land the kicks on Sean Strickland. He's going to land the harder shots on Sean Strickland, and he's going to keep the fight at range, keep on moving, use the height, use and reach, and win the fight. Again, the only reason I had Sean Strickland winning originally is because of recency bias. That's kind of it. We had the Uriah Hall fight. We had him landing so many takedowns on Uriah Hall throughout that fight that I was like, all right, maybe Sean Strickland will outgrind Alex Pereira to a decision. It's still possible. There's still a very, very good shot that happens.
But we know the UFC wants Adesanya versus Pereira. That's all they're going to be doing in the promos after this card, is trying to figure out how to do Pereira versus Adesanya for the UFC middleweight belt. If the UFC wants it, they shall get it. So I'm going to go Alex Pereira, just keeping the fight at range, landing the kicks, the leg kicks, the body kicks, the front kicks, the jabs, the 1-2s. And as Sean Strickland's coming in, look for that left hook. But again, it's going to be pretty hard with the high guard of Sean Strickland as well. But I think he outstrikes him for 3 rounds, defends most of the takedowns here. I think maybe 1 takedown will go Sean Strickland. And I think Alex Pereira wins this fight by a 29-28 decision. Very close fight, as it could go either way. Sean Strickland could pressure the heck out of Pereira, maybe look on a little bit of his cardio, take him down, and grind out a decision. It's possible, but Pereira's power advantage is so significantly higher than Sean Strickland's wrestling advantage. I think that'll matter more to the judges. The takedowns aren't going to matter as much as the big, powerful shots landing for Alex Pereira. So I'm going to go Alex by a unanimous decision. Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway 3 in the UFC featherweight division. Max, very good striker. He's 30 years old. He's taller. He's not as lengthy, but he's a lot taller than Alexander Volkanovski, beating Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, and Frankie Edgar, but losing to Alexander Volkanovski twice, once by unanimous decision and once by a split decision, both in very, very close fights. Now, this one right here is going to be the exact same, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe we see Max Holloway 3.0 go out there and just have some crazy good leg kick defense, have just the way better wrestling and grappling. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Holloway is going to look way better than he did in the first 2 outings. But from what I've seen of Holloway in those 2 outings and what I've seen since then, his striking did look good against Calvin Kattar. He can't do that against Volkanovski. He'll get taken down. He'll eat leg kicks as he's going in to lane all of that volume, and he'll lose the fight. So I think it'll be kind of similar to how the other 2 fights were. Holloway pressuring forward, Volkanovski laying the leg kicks, laying the bigger shots in the feet, the hooks, the uppercuts, and things like that, and mixing in the takedowns every now and then. All in all, I got Alexander Volkanovski grinding another 48-47 decision. It's going to be another split. I can already see it right now. So, yeah, Max Holloway, he'll win a few of the rounds, just landing a little bit more volume with the punches. But most of the rounds will go Volkanovski with the leg kicks, with his powerful shots, landing the hooks, the right hooks, uppercuts, overhand rights, and things like that, and a few takedowns here and there. I think he will land a few takedowns on Max Holloway as well and win the fight by a unanimous decision. Israel Adesanya and Garry Cannonier in the middleweight division. Adesanya is going to be one of the greatest middleweights to ever do it. He beat Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero, and then Robert Whittaker again before that. He's been wiping out this middleweight division. Pretty much everyone in the top 10, top 5. Adesanya is already beat, or he's beat someone that has beat them. That is the case here. He's already beaten Robert Whittaker, who has beaten Jared Cannonier. And I know MMA math doesn't always work, but it should work here. Adesanya is going to be 5 inches taller than Jared Cannonier. He's got a 2.5-inch reach advantage over Jared Cannonier. He's 5 years younger than Jared Cannonier. He's faster than Jared Cannonier. He's got takedown defense, so no wrestling and grappling is going to mix in here. Cannonier's speed isn't really there, so it's not like he can bum rush Adesanya, look for those powerful shots, because Adesanya's movement, plus Jared Cannonier not having the same speed, and plus the height and reach differential, there's just so many obstacles for Jared Cannonier right now. He's got so many things to come over, and the only way I see him winning is a little kick in the leg so hard on Adesanya that some nerves crack in there. He's like, his whole calf just becomes numb. I mean, the only way I think he's going to win this fight on Adesanya is the same way he beat Anderson Silva, leg kick TKO. That's about it. The other way there's a possibility Jared Cannonier could win is in the clinch with another big elbow. We saw what he was able to do on Derek Brunson, landing a big elbow to a lot of devastating ground and pound. I mean, yeah, there's a chance he can do the same thing against Adesanya. The debate I have against only those 2 things, which in my opinion are the only ways Jared Cannonier is going to win the fight, the debate against those 2 things, first off, the leg kicks. Adesanya's movement is absolutely amazing. He's one of the best kickboxers in the UFC. He's got really good leg kick defense, and he's not, the chances of that happening are very, very low. The second thing, clinching and knocking out Adesanya with an elbow or something like that is very unreliable. Adesanya is very good at keeping range, using the height, using the reach and things like that, and staying out of the clinch situations, staying out of the wrestling and grappling situations. And Jared's not going to be able to keep him there long enough to land those elbows, let alone knock him out with an elbow like that. So again, if Jared's going to win, it has to be a finish. Leg kicks, a big elbow in the clinch, or just like bum rushing Adesanya, looking for some big overhand right, left hook, something like that, and knocking out Adesanya in the fight. I cannot see it happening here. I think Adesanya is going to put on a masterclass like we put in our video a few days ago. I think he'll keep the fight at range, use his height, use his reach, have Cannonier keep on pressuring forward, eating shots as he's coming in throughout this entire fight. Israel Adesanya in a very dominant, unanimous decision.